get into this talk. So, as we know, let me just go ahead and pull up the slides real quick. Give me 1 second. So, Ohio State, they ended up doing it. They ended up winning it all, the NCAA Championship. Now, I will completely admit I did not expect them to win going into the college football playoffs just after, like directly after their game against Michigan. Now, when they beat Tennessee, then I was like, okay, maybe they sort of learned from that loss. Maybe Ohio State needed that loss in order to propel themselves to get over the top. That's usually what it takes to win championships and to win in those big games. Like the realization that you're still not perfect, and as good as you've been playing all year, you still have your flaws, and you really have to work to it and try and minimize those flaws up until the very end. Ironically enough, that was what happened to me and the defensive player of the game, Cody Simon, when we were chasing a state championship. We ended up losing the very last game of the season. We shouldn't have lost that game, but we ended up losing anyway. And it's heartbreaking because we lose to that team, the team that we lost to, every single year. Like, ever since we were both on the team, we just kept on losing to that team. They were St. Joseph's. Those guys were just unbelievable, a very talented school and a very talented football program. They would always, I tell you, always beat us. And we've never been able to, I don't think, I wasn't able to beat them. I don't think Cody Simon was able to beat them either. And it was the last game of the season, right? So going into the playoffs, then we worked extra hard to try and minimize all those kinds of mistakes so that if we do see them in the postseason, we are ready and we don't lose. And ultimately, we got lucky that we didn't end up seeing them, but we also had to face a really difficult team to win the entire game. And I think that I feel like if we would have won the game, like the final game of that season, I don't think we would have won the state championship. So similar to that, I think that Michigan loss for Ohio State was really, really, really important in them winning it all. And I will say though, I was very, very disappointed in Notre Dame's performance throughout the entirety of this game. One of the biggest takeaways that I had was that for some reason, when they were down, and it was fourth down, they were down by a couple scores, and they decided to take a field goal to try and make the game interesting. In my mind, I would go for it on that instance. Obviously, I'll go through the play-by-play, but this game was never close. Aside from the opening drive from Notre Dame, they did not do anything really all that memorable to try and make this game a little bit more interesting. The second the first half ended, I did not have a single doubt in my mind that Ohio State was going to end up winning the NCAA championship. I had zero doubt in my mind. And really, either or of the outcomes I would have been totally fine with, because both of my teammates were in position, both of my former teammates were in position to win a state championship. Well, not a state championship, a national championship. So not really complaining about, wouldn't have complained about the results if they were the other way around. But Notre Dame, they opened up with an 18-play touchdown drive, straight masterpiece. They used up the entire first quarter on that singular drive. But then, of course, Ohio State, they answered back with another touchdown. And then the Fighting Irish, they just kept punting while Ohio State kept scoring. Here's how the play-by-play went. After Ohio State scored that touchdown, it was Notre Dame punt on a 3-and-out, Ohio State touchdown, Notre Dame punt on a 3-and-out, Ohio State touchdown, end of the half. And then Ohio State started with the ball, and then Ohio State scored a touchdown. Then Notre Dame ended with a turnover on downs. Then Ohio State took a field goal, and then finally, after they were down 31-7, the Fighting Irish ended up scoring a touchdown late in the third quarter. Ohio State ended up fumbling the ball, then Notre Dame ended up missing a field goal, then Ohio State punted, then Notre Dame ended up taking a touchdown, scoring a touchdown, and then Ohio State capped off the game with a field goal. So, if you notice, Ohio State, they did not punt once until the fourth quarter. That is straight dominance of this game. Straight dominance. And I mentioned earlier that Cody Simon, he ended up winning the defensive MVP for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he ended up leading the team in tackles, ended up getting 4 solo tackles, did not record a sack, but he did record 1 tackle for loss, so obviously most valuable defensive player. He's most likely going to get drafted, and I am looking forward to it. The biggest takeaway and the biggest reason why I was also disappointed in Notre Dame and this game was that they were running man. And against a team as talented as Ohio State, why do you run man? For first off, the stats. Will Howard, he threw for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. Judkins, of course, rushed for 100 yards and rushed for 2 touchdowns because that is Judkins and that's what he does. And Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka, forgive me, I almost messed that up. Jeremiah Smith, he had 88 yards, 1 touchdown on 5 receptions, and Egbuka had 6 receptions and 64 yards. So, not to mention, Judkins also had a receiving touchdown in that game as well. Like, you cannot run man against somebody as good as Jeremiah Smith. You cannot do that. You can't. It's unfathomable to me that they were willing to let somebody go in a one-on-one situation with somebody as talented as, well, with actually 2 players as talented as Egbuka as well as Jeremiah Smith. And it just does not make any sense. Jeremiah Smith has been talked about as being one of the best freshmen in the entire nation and one of the best receivers. And Egbuka, ironically enough, I believe he's the leader for Ohio State in receiving yards, yet he's never been a wide receiver 1 on any of the Ohio State squads, which is unbelievable to think about, but it's really Jeremiah Smith. Leaving Jeremiah Smith in a one-on-one is just inexcusable in my opinion. You cannot do that. You're just asking to lose at that point. And that was my biggest takeaway. But that's all that again, just being wary of the time, that's all that I have in this first segment. Normally it would have been a little bit longer, but again, weary of time. So now we're going to go into the second segment where I talk about the NBA power rankings and just where they're standing at right now. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Everybody in the world blind. Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my